Let us now invite the next speaker of the day, Mr. Ashok Bhattacharya, former Executive Director at Takeda Pharmaceuticals India. He will be touching upon a very, very important topic, a topic on which a lot of questions are coming, that how can a mid-size or non-research based, we have MNCs and we have now a segment which is mid-sized. So how they can also indulge in patient-centric marketing, what they can do. And let me put a few words related to Ashok sir. He is independent healthcare strategy enabler and panel member with 2 global consulting companies, over 39 years of experience in global pharmaceutical MNCs as a successful manager in various roles like general management, marketing and sales, excelling in diverse multicultural environments, a strong proponent for building big brands and enhancing corporate equity through patient and customer focus, ensuring total compliance and corporate governance. He has launched and built brands in multiple therapeutic segments, and he managed overall profit and loss of businesses actively involved in mergers and acquisitions. Ashok sir is a member of Leadership Excellence at Harvard Business Square and a member of CII National Committee on Pharma for 3 consecutive years, a jury member for India Packaging Awards, and have been a part of multiple committees of OPPI. One thing we all will appreciate is his focus on creating working environments of trust, fairness, openness, compliance, and corporate governance. Let me tell you one thing, Ashok sir was actually writhing in pain for the last 3 weeks, but he said that he will be speaking today. We asked him if he is all right, but his centricity, his human centricity is such that he has taken pain medication and he is with us today to speak on this topic. Over to you, Ashok sir.
Good afternoon to all of you. So basically, relentlessly, they have worked towards making this seamless execution and making this grand event, I would say, a prestigious event, be a reality. I also thank all the people, all my friends who have in the industry, who have registered themselves for this event on a Sunday afternoon. I'm looking forward to really learn from the esteemed panel which has been there. I've been following it right from the morning, and there's a great bit of learning that I have had in the last 3 sessions of Jill and starting from Jill. I think, the area where I'm going to address, just a minute, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So, I think the area which I need to really share my thoughts on, certain questions have come up in the beginning. Now, my apologies to all the audience is that I don't have a beautiful PowerPoint presentation to put across my points. But I would try my level best and do justice to this session in communicating my views. So in a world where the consumer is increasingly becoming more empowered, life sciences companies should challenge the status quo and embrace opportunities to adapt a wide range of patient-centered approaches presented by the ecosystem. I think that's extremely important today. Just a minute. Okay. So what I personally feel is all organizations have been talking about patient centricity. Everybody is talking about that we need to have patient centricity. But do they really have that patient centricity is a big question that we need to answer. Is it just a buzzword, or is it something that all of us need to embark upon and ensure that our purpose of existence is met. Although pharma companies frequently speak to healthcare professionals, patient advocacy groups about patient needs, they seem to spend far less effort on asking patients themselves what they want. It is mainly through the lens of the clinicians that they do their work, or through some NGOs, or some desk work, or some research work. But do they really spend more time in asking the patient themselves what they want? The patient wishes and preferences often remain unclear, posing a real problem for pharma companies looking to better engage the patient. It is particularly critical to solve this problem. And this is a problem across the world. It is not India alone, but it is across the globe. Two questions what the companies need to ask the patients or need to address. What do patients want from pharma companies? Do we know what our customers really want from us? And how well are those companies meeting those needs? Is it that companies are thinking that they should communicate this, and that is perhaps the need of the patient, but it may not be true. In one of the surveys, it was found out that doctors were more likely to prescribe medication for pharma company they considered more patient-centric. It's a very powerful observation. It's a powerful statement which has come from the study. So pharma companies must have clarity into what patients want and how well they are delivering on those fronts in order to design the right initiatives, set goals, and measure performance. Without this clarity, patient centricity efforts are much more likely to falter. This is absolutely right. Patient centricity in organizations should not be a tick mark activity within the team. Let me try and, what I feel to define patient centricity. I personally would like to define that patient centricity is all about listening to the patients, listening carefully what they want, why they want, when they want, how they want. These are certain things we need to learn from the patients. We need to decipher these information. We need to answer these and understand what the real need is. The other thing I would say that patient centricity is not the only responsibility of a commercial team or a medical team. The patient centricity runs across the organization, right from the research and development, the procurement, the packaging, the finance, the QA, the supply chain, medical, commercial. The whole organization needs to be aligned to the thought of patient centricity. Let me now dwell upon patient centricity is not the proprietary domain of innovator companies only. And patient centricity has got different parts. Patient centricity has got into research and development of really looking at the disease landscape and coming out with discovery of molecules which can address those disease areas, provide the right therapy, and bring back smile not only in the face of the patient but also of the family. That's one part of patient centricity. The other part of patient centricity is in terms of access. Am I able to have a drug which majority of the patients can avail. Can I do that? The other one is what is the current scenario is how much of patient involvement. If you look into patient centricity has always been there within the pharma companies. I would just request you to look back 70 years back when the medicine was dispensed with the help of a pestle and mortar. Remember doctors prescribing something, you go to the pharmacy, they give you some powder in white packets, and which you used to call puriyas. It may be bitter, it may be sweet, it may be anything. Preparing a mixture for indigestion, preparing a mixture for fever, for cough, and they used to make this as if it's a mini laboratory. Forget about the quality control of that, but that is what pharma companies could offer at that time, and doctors used it accordingly. Slowly there was something which came to the minds of the big pharma companies, and they said, can we give all this in a more hygienic way, in a more quality controlled way to the patient? And then came the tablets, the capsules, the syrups, elixirs, and injections. So knowingly or unknowingly, patient focus has been there in the pharmaceutical industry. What happened after that? The main thing that came in was a lot of disease profile changed, and the patient centricity went into the medical communication of it, creating disease awareness, creating therapy area awareness with the help of the doctors. Now, the whole question in the pharma industry always has been, who is my customer? Is it the doctor or is it the patient? Early days, it was believed the doctor is my customer. Another group believed, no, the patient is the customer. And finally, it has now come to the minds of every single organization, pharma company, the patient is my main customer. Because I have to ensure and bring a product which is the requirement of the patient. Now, when I make this statement, there are a couple of elements which needs to be looked at. The innovator companies look at these research in a different way. The R&D labs today want early participation of the patient also in order to meet regulatory needs in the US and Europe. They also want that they can prepare the clinical trial protocols accordingly with the patient involvement. So that's one part of patient centricity, because ultimately they are going to provide the medication, they're going to direct their research as to what patients really need. The second part is that what is this patient centricity all about? So is it all about the innovator company? The answer is no. Every single pharma company has got the right to ensure patient centricity. What happened in India particularly? The thought came in that patient centricity can happen and exist only in chronic segments and not in acute segments. That was a thought. It was a belief. But that belief shift should now take place. It's not in the chronic segment alone. It's also in the acute segment. How can the companies, innovator companies, ensure patient centricity in today's world? They can do it by earlier esteemed speakers have cited examples like what Sandeep mentioned. And like, in the acute segment. Now, for example, pain relief. Can we create awareness about pain? Can we observe a patient and understand what the patient means by pain? What is that patient journey that we are talking about, even in an acute segment? What is the agony? What is the remedy that the patient wants? And can we really decipher this message and see, okay, there are multiple therapies which are available for pain. You can pop a pill of paracetamol or an ibuprofen or anything for that, or a diclofenac. Or you can use a spray or a ointment. But have we really looked into that? Why does a patient does not adhere to the therapy which the doctor recommends? And I'm talking about, I personally sat, I was doing some work for an organization and trying to understand the patient need and some product development. When it comes to popping a pill, there is no problem. When it comes to a liquid formulation, the adherence goes down because of the taste of the product. They don't like the taste. And that was earlier research that particularly for the female population of patients, taste, look of the syrup, a bottle, and other things are extremely important for adherence. But it has been found now. I did this research with a wide number of patients across the country, and particularly for pain and the pain sprays which are there. One thing is, because of the repulsive smell which comes, the patient and the patient family gets irritated and therefore do not like, because they also know that this is for a period of time. But they want something which is more soothing, as it is the patient is bleeding under pain. And after that, if there is some irritant which is coming, that really comes in the way. So the patient centricity for non-innovator companies can be, can I look into this whole thing? Can I make it more soothing to the patient so that it is non-irritating and the patient adherence goes up? Yeah. Now, there's another thing. We spoke about chronic segment, and I think Sanjeev gave a good example of the diabetes segment. Non-adherence to the therapy or adherence to the therapy is a very short time. What can non-innovator companies do into that? Can non-innovator companies do in terms of reminding the patient, the patient's family, that if they don't adhere to the prescribed timelines given by the clinician, it may lead to a lot of complications and will ultimately lead to a disastrous ending. This is something which the non-innovator companies can do. And this can be done through communication. And communication is one of the most powerful weapons for any marketing organization, whether it is a pharmaceutical company, whether it is an FMCG company, or whatever. The pharma company has now learned from the FMCG companies, otherwise pharma companies, the industry itself was a frog in the well. It has started learning from taking cues from the FMCG industry and starting understanding customers. What can these companies, what can non-innovator companies do? Can they look into that? Can I align and license in with innovator companies to ensure access of the drug, making it economical for the innovator company in terms of hiring manpower? Can the innovator company use this non-innovator company like examples of when Novartis and when Merck and USV, they entered into a tie. When they entered into a tie for an anti-diabetic drug. So it was an USV non-innovator company, but still a leader in the diabetes segment, still a leader in the hypertensive segment. How is because of the type of partnerships and collaborations they have done. Non-innovator companies should look into their strength. What strength do they have? Do they have the power of supply chain? Can they collaborate with the innovator companies and ensure that there is a commercial benefit which is there for both the companies? And finally, when I'm looking at the supply chain strength, it also leads to benefit in terms of access to patients, access to large number of geographies, and make innovative medicines available for them. The other thing is, one of the most important thing is also about packaging. Non-innovator companies can work on packaging front and offer convenient packaging, quality packaging, ensuring that the quality of the product is not compromised with, because India has a geography with different climatic conditions. So can these innovative packaging withstand this and ensure that the right product, the right quality at the right time reaches to the patient? This is also a type of patient centricity. Can non-innovator company things like that? Can non-innovator companies look at that if there's for example, an eye drop, the current eye drops are available in certain pack. Can I make an eye drop pack as such that even a geriatric patient can apply on his or her own? And that is patient centricity. The whole purpose, the previous presentation, I loved it. It's quality for all. It's one quality. It cannot be for an innovator company to maintain a global quality standard, and for a non-innovator company to maintain standard as per country specific. No, that's not right. A patient in US and a patient in Delhi and a patient in Raebareli, all are human beings. All are patients. All are human beings. The patient centricity from non-innovator companies should be to ensure quality standards and ensure that the right product reaches over there. It is also important for the non-innovator companies to embark upon patient initiatives in terms of creating awareness, in creating awareness within the patient group in terms of the disease, in terms of the therapies which are available, ensure that the right product is available, and they take anti-counterfeit measures in their packaging. That is something which even non-innovative companies can also do. There is no issues on that. So I think collaborating with hospitals, collaborating with doctors, collaborating with NGOs, patient groups, nurses, all this, it is not confined to innovative companies. It's open to all. And look at the various programs some of the new innovators, some non-innovative companies have made in our country. And they have all done it like that. They have really entered into collaboration with these people and do it. The other thing is, non-innovator companies should not just think about their brand. They should not think about transactional selling of a brand. They should think about, can I do something liaising with the government Can I help the government in terms of framing policies in different disease areas where my strength lies? I think these are certain things where every organization, every company, whether it is innovative or non-innovative, whether it's a global or a local or a local, all companies can do that. I would rather, as I mentioned, we cannot be into a status quo. Just because of an innovator company has done this activity in the diabetes area, I should follow that and do that same. I need to really trigger the gray matter within the organization and look at what different can I offer. I'll give you an example, my own example, entering a diabetic segment. The concept of HbA1c was not very popular in India and used to be done in just a couple of 4-5 centers across the country. Working to launch the product, that time it was more go-to-market and model, worked for 1 year and tried to find out and try to create an awareness within the doctors about HbA1c. It became popular. It drove more number of patients to the labs. It became the economies of scale were there. Today, HbA1c is an integral part of an advice given by even a general practitioner to a diabetic patient. So we need to find out what is that gap. What is that gap and then try to communicate. The answer I might get when I am talking, many people might be thinking, this chap is talking about all these things. Will my owner or will my MD or will my commercial head accept, doing research with patients, trying to get into all these type of things? And what about the return of investment on all these? Are they going to do that? Are they going to agree to these things? I think that people should realize the amount of money that I spend for transactional selling. If I shift that budget in understanding patient needs, in understanding what patients want, I think we are in the game. I feel it is not thinking out of the box, but we should break the box in terms of pharmaceutical marketing evaluations. We should think about not the dollars alone. We should look at how many patients have got benefit from my drug. Can I measure that? How many patients have got benefit from my drug? How many patients have repurchased my drug? And that is what leads to the real value of a brand. That helps in creating a big brand, building a big brand within the organization. Corporates should start thinking not just about selling, but about building a trust, because pharmaceutical industry has never been trusted by the patients, by the public at large, not only in India, but across the globe. Therefore, and there are certain things, the sponsorships for conferences, the gifts loaded in the clinics of the doctors, the patients come and see all that. And they feel that the doctor is writing the product because he is getting something in lieu of prescribing that product. We need to, the recent policy of the government has been good, of no samples other than request or no gifts and things like that. The UCMP code which is there. Companies should, corporates, every corporate should think about the compliance. Should think about, I need to get into patient centricity in a compliant way so that the patient disclosures need to be maintained. whatever is allowed by the law of the land, only that piece of information to come to the corporate table. Rest, it should not be, because the confidentiality has to be followed. So I think these are certain things by which companies can really learn. I mean, the industry image is getting changed. I would not say thanks to COVID, but the situation has compelled pharmaceutical organizations to rise to the occasion and really respond in a way, like it was mentioned, the remdesivir injection is not to look at profit, but to provide the product to a large number of patients. I think that is the intention which large companies have demonstrated both globally and even in India. Now, India has provided, with the help of capability of manufacturing and distributing the product worldwide. It is also that India has also embarked upon research and development and provided products for this. Patients have now realized pharma companies are really looking for the benefit of the patients, looking for cure, looking for healing the patient. Now, I would just like to conclude that, all organizations, whether it is an innovative or a non-innovative company, and I stress more on non-innovative companies, which is my domain of the talk today, is to ensure that the medicine, the product authenticity is maintained and go through packaging. Tremendous amount of packaging innovation has taken place, whereby you can ensure the anti-counterfeit measures are ensured in the product, and also compliance of the product, the easy way to administer the product, all those are there. The second is create more disease awareness and treatment option and prevention. And this can be done through health educators, which will also lead to community awareness. It will refer patients to doctors, and partnership with local NGOs in remote villages and remote places. This is what non-innovator companies can embark upon. Collaborate with doctors, hospitals, NGOs, patient group, nurses. Very important. Nobody talks about it. For acute treatment or for chronic treatment, nurses play an important role in understanding the treatment adherence and the other difficulties or benefits which the patient faces when is in the hospital or outside the hospital. Non-innovator companies can get into health camps. And health camp is not to get a prescription for its own brand, but health camps and mobile clinics for screening, diagnosis, and treatment. And this element will create trust and partnership with patients. This will help in building trust. This will help in collaborating with patients. Like your patient video, you spelled out a couple of companies. But some of these companies that she mentioned has really done a lot of patient-centric activity and is still doing a lot of patient-centric activity. It may not be just providing an innovative, but providing a lot of innovative packaging and a facility for the patient, creating a lot of disease awareness, treatment awareness. The other thing is, as was mentioned earlier also, non-innovative companies can also talk about microfinancing. If the disease therapy area costs are high, can we enter? It is not the domain only of the innovative company. It's my domain. I have a product. I am playing in this disease area. So can I talk to microfinancing? Can I look into subsidies for financing treatment and developing healthcare? At least the other thing is, can I collaborate with the government for developing healthcare policies? A recent example from mine, which I shared with you, Swati, 2 days earlier, rare disease, the number of patients itself are very rare. Yet there are companies who are into the drug discovery, but because it does not have the economies of scale, number of patients are so rare, the diagnostics are so rare, difficult. Patient gets undiagnosed for years together. In India itself, there might be some 40, 50 doctors who can really get into this rare disease area. Can I help doctors to create awareness so that the doctors earn respect for my organization, even though I have a non-innovative organization? Can I help them to create a knowledge base, build a knowledge within the doctors? Doctor, these are the rare diseases. This is how you can facilitate in diagnosing or putting the patient to the higher ups. And this is something which everybody can do. So when I talk about creating disease awareness, it is not only the patients, it's even within the doctors. It is immaterial whether I have a product or not. I earn trust of the doctor. So let me embark on it. And that is what I personally did into the rare disease area, chairing the rare disease task force from OPPI, and also the interaction with NGOs, patients group, and with the government. And finally, last week, the rare disease policy is out, which is totally in benefit of the patients. So that's a patient-centric activity. The last thing I would like to talk about is, don't look at price as the competitive edge to an innovative company product. Try to look at what value are you adding to the patient at that price point. Look at, by adding this value at the price point, can I ensure large number of patients within the country get the benefit of my drug? Never ever get into a price war. It's momentary, it's short term. Look into the long term. So my final remarks is that patient centricity is not the proprietary thing of an innovator company, but patient centricity is a right for every organization, whether innovative or non-innovative. Thanks a lot to the audience for the patient hearing, and thanks a lot to Swati and Vivek for giving me an opportunity to express my thoughts on this subject.
Thank you so much.
And have a
Thank
nice
you.